Hey everyone, welcome back. In today's video we're going to be doing some smoked pulled beef in the old faithful Weber Kettle. So we've just picked up this oyster blade. You could use something like chuck steak, brisket or beef cheeks to do some pulled beef. But I like oyster blade. It's got some nice intramuscular fat. It does have a fat seam that runs through the middle, which we'll get out when we're pulling it. But as for now, we'll get started by trimming it up. I'm just going to take that top fat and seal the skin off. Alright, so we're all trimmed up and ready to go. I've also set up the Weber. We're just going to be using one charcoal basket today. I've filled it up 3/4 full with unlit briquettes, and then the other quarter I've just topped up with nice red hot ashed over briquettes. We've left all of our vents wide open for now, and then once we get to around that 250 Fahrenheit range in the pit, we're going to start closing down that bottom vent until it's almost closed, and we're going to look to stabilise it off at about that 275 to 300 Fahrenheit range. So this is a stage where you can go ahead and season it. I'm just using something that we've been working on here at Low and Slow Basics. It's going to be our new steak and beef rub. You can go ahead and use your favourite beef rub. And the smoking wood we're going to be using today is some bourbon barrel oak from Natural Smoke. So you can go ahead and season it, and then we'll get it ready to get in the pit. Right, so we're about an hour and a half in now. The pit's been holding really nicely at about that 275 Fahrenheit range. It's moved up and down a little bit because it's a bit of a windy day, but overall it's been sitting right where we want it to be. So in a minute we're going to check it. We're going to be looking for an internal of about 160 Fahrenheit. We're going to be looking for some nice colour on the outside and for that bark to have set as well. Then we're going to wrap it up in some foil with a little bit of beer and some butter. If you don't have any beer, use some beef stock, use some stout, or you can even just use some water. It's just going to really help to break that muscle down, give us really nice pulled beef. So once it's wrapped, check your charcoal. If you find it's not going to last the whole cook, feel free to top it up a little bit, or you can even use the snake method that we used in our brisket video a couple of weeks back. I'll put a card up here so you can have a look at that if you did want to use the snake. But as for now, we're going to have a quick look and we're going to potentially wrap it up. Alright, so we're all wrapped up, our lid's back on, and our temps come up really nicely and really quick as well. That's because while we had the lid off, a lot of oxygen got in there. It got the fire raging while the lid was off, and when we put it back on, it was still raging, which gave us the increased temp. And now our lid's back on, that should start coming down right where we had it before in that 275 to 300 range. What we're going to do now is we're just going to leave it. We're going to look for an internal of about 205 to 210. We're going to probe around and make sure it's super tender once we reach that stage. Once we're happy, we're going to get it out. We're going to give it a nice rest for about half an hour to an hour before we pull it apart and serve it. So we'll come back soon. Alright, so it's been another 2 hours now. We've got an internal of 205 in the meat and 280 in the pit. So it's been sitting really nicely. It's time to get it out, have a probe around with our instant read and see how it's feeling. Alright, so that was probing absolutely bang on. There was no resistance at all when we were feeling around. It was about that 210 mark the whole way through when we used our instant read. And we've timed it pretty well because I reckon we only had about another 45 minutes to an hour left of charcoal. But like I said, if you're doing a bigger bit of beef, just use the snake method and you'll be fine. So we're going to get that out, we're going to give it a rest for half an hour, and then we're going to serve it up. Alright, so this is ready. Now it's time to pull it apart. That's that gristle I was talking about in the middle of it. If you want, you can scrape all that out. That is just beautiful. that is just so tender. Like I said, that seam in the middle, it does just turn to jelly. You can pull that stuff out if you don't want it through the pull. And the juices that were left over from the wrap, don't chuck them away. If you want a little bit more flavour, just mix some of them in. But as for now, just got a beautiful little tortilla. Put some of this beautiful meat on there. Oh, that's so good. Put this salsa on there. I'll put the recipe for the salsa, and I'll also put a recipe for some easy homemade tortillas as well. But as for now, I'm going to get stuck into this. That's the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you got any comments, leave them below. We'll see you next time. Cheers. So good.